Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Zelda Speedruns. Tonight we have the final race, Game 3 of the third place race here in the Link to the Past Challenge Cup for 2023. We have Knucks and darkened5ky at one game apiece, joined on comms by Esmar and your Uncle Finch. How are you two doing tonight?
We're doing all right. It's a beautiful day for some standard boots, for collecting 7 crystals, defeating Ganon. It's pretty good. How about you, Esmar?
Yeah, I'm doing well. I've always had a soft spot for the standard start. To me, it's always felt like, it's the right way to start the game. Otherwise, you don't have the proper context for the whole adventure. So we are going to be seeing that opening Hyrule Castle sequence, along with that guaranteed weapon of some sort on the Uncle. So depending on what we get there could very much change the way we route afterwards. Because pretty much every item that he can give you is logically significant in some way.
Right. Well, to some degree, right. Even Burna, maybe.
Yeah,
but
Burna's about the only one that is like, okay, that doesn't really matter. But, you could get Bow, which is useful right away because it gives you access to a lot of Eastern. You could get Samaria, which is really useful, but only later on. So it's always a little bit interesting to see.
Or Burna for Logical Spike Cave for let's say Power Glow, or for Titansmiths rather. Maybe that kind of logic. We will be getting underway in just about a minute. We had a slight delay, but we are going through that and everything's all right. But yeah, this is a great bronze match here between Knucks and darkened5ky. This is their third match where darkened5ky won the faux all dungeons key sanity. Match 2, Knucks took it with an open hard win. So Esmar, kind of what are we looking for? Where do we think the racers will diverge? What are you thinking?
Well, I mean, we're not really going to know until we know what that item that they get from the Uncle is, really. The place where we see the most early divergence is sort of where you go after Kakariko. Some players actually will opt to skip the dam and go straight to Mini Moldorm. Some will do the more standard dam, Mini Moldorm, Ice Rod. But depending on what we find out of Kakariko is going to really depend. That's going to kind of determine where we see our divergence, I feel.
Right, and if we get the bow, how early do we see Sassy's Closet or even Eastern? And we are underway. Hey, listen.
Now, if I had a nickel for every time somebody had said that to me.
All right, and yeah, there's that running ability with the racers. Unlike casual boots, you can't just run through bushes, though, in this opening sequence. So, we see darkened5ky put on the brakes there just for a tiny bit. And we do start out with the bow.
Yeah, that is one of the nicer items to get here. It's really strong in this starting sequence. You don't really have to think too much about it like you would if you had to manage magic or anything like that. And we also do get a bomb there, which is, it's always nice to see bombs in the soldier pack when you're doing the standard start.
Right, and also getting that blue mail there. Their match 2 was open hard, and the racers were definitely hurting for that blue mail there. But yeah, the bow is definitely one of the stronger items. Now, hopefully, it's not Pod and Eastern as both being pendants. That could still be the case.
Yeah, regardless, it's still nice to have the bow because even if Pod and Eastern are pendants, they're unlocked by so little that it's still very common to find progression even in pendant Eastern or Pod. Pod especially with 5 items in there.
Right. Something, and granted, we haven't seen too much so far. darkened5ky. Oh, and there's Bombos. One thing that we haven't quite seen yet is a whole lot of money. Still sitting on 1 rupee as the rupee lead here.
Yeah, there's still some time for it to show up. We do have those three checks in the back of escape that we will be hitting in fairly short order, but yeah, you usually hope to see at least something. We will have the bush crabs, the tree poles and stuff to potentially shore us up for our CAC visit.
The 4-bomb drop there.
Yeah, at the very least, we won't be worrying about getting bombs, which is nice, because that's usually one of the things that you sometimes want money for once you get to Kakariko.
Right. Once you get to Kakariko, it can open. It. You can go ahead. You can farm up the rupees if you'd like. But yeah, as the racers complete their opening sequence, yeah, let's kind of going through how they got here in the first place. darkened5ky fighting through the brackets was actually the 4 seed coming into the Challenge Cup, so did defeat Plasma Snake, Iceman, Yukikaze, and then ran into Kazdin, who is competing in the finals. Meanwhile, Knucks, on the other hand, the 3 seed, defeated Zero Nix, Random Norris, and Mike Nekopai.
Yeah, both these runners, no matter who wins or loses this match, they're taking 3rd and 4th, so it's a good result.
Right, just 10 arrows there, but we have not. I don't believe we've seen a map yet, though, so we will be keeping an eye. If we don't find it, if we don't find a map here in the back, then we'll see who accidentally checks Sanctuary Chest.
Yeah, more than likely we will see one there. It's it's 3 to 1 or whatever. 25% chance that it ends up in Sanctuary, but you never know. You always want to be keeping that in mind. You can save yourself just a teensy tiny bit of time.
Yep, and there is the fighter shield, a couple more bombs, and there is that map. So we will be checking out Sang Chest.
Yeah, I often get to that point where I'm getting to the end of a dungeon or a sequence like this, and I realize I haven't really been paying attention. I'm like, I have to pick this up because I wasn't paying attention, and it ends up being a dungeon item or something. It's like, that's what I get.
Very respectable 518 clear there on darkened5ky's side, and just a piece of heart. And that was at least a Crystal Eastern. Looks like Green Pendant Desert Palace. And yeah, this route also makes sense. This is also going to be checking Lumberjack Ledge with those, with the boots already in Logic. That does mean that this could be viable. I think there was Mirror previously, but just 50 rupees. We will not be beating Aghanim, at least for those 50 rupees.
Ooh, we see Fairy from that tree pole too.
That's something you usually see.
Still low on money though, which is like it's almost tempting to grab that 20 in the woods there, because you do want to get up to 100 by the time you get to Kakariko, so you can turn that in at the bottle vendor.
Right. And Sky opting, I think this is going to be the Eastern play here, opting to skip Kakariko Village altogether.
I'm not 100% sure how I feel about this. Without any fire source, Eastern is not completable in logic. Or even at all. We do see a sword there on Lake Hylia Island, so that is locked behind quite a few items.
Right. We're gonna need flippers, mirror, dark world access. And meanwhile, Knucks is going to go ahead and check out Kakariko Village here. So, pretty immediate divergence, considering the very beginning is pretty well scripted. Let's see which one pays out more. And there is cash, at least for Darkened Sky.
Yeah, the one thing I'm worried about for Sky here is that it's unless he picks up a lamp or the fire rod somewhere in here, it's going to be a dip because he can't finish the dungeon without. Or no, it's not logically completable. He can finish it. Never mind.
Right. Meanwhile, we did get the Moon Pearl and a cape in Blind's Hut so far, along with 300 rupees, which hey, we will take.
Yeah, that's nice. Nice Zora money.
All right, but meanwhile, Darkened Sky is going into Eastern Palace. Let's see what we get in here.
Finding that early big key is always nice. Get the potential to maybe even skip the vanilla big key chest if the items come up early.
Right, which does also bring into account like maybe Fire Rod is our logical access. All right, nothing really in the well. Oh, there's the map.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure exactly what Darkened Sky really gains by going here early. I think the big advantage would be if something was in Sahasrarla's closet there, and you could maybe pick that up early, then you might otherwise run into it.
Right.
But this doesn't speed anything up because it's something that Knucks is going to have to do eventually anyway, and all of this Kakariko check, Sky isn't going to skip that, so...
Right, well, what's interesting is Knucks getting a fighter sword and flippers, so we are just the lamp away from Aga access. And we're actually a step closer to being able to get that that sword over on the ledge. Just 20 bucks there. And I think after this, Knucks will consider... We'll see where Knucks goes from here. We'll go opt to check out race game here.
Ooh,
and that's the power glove. All
it's
right,
so bad.
I love the power glove. So in this particular route, Kakariko Village does pay out more immediately. Oh, but this is actually one of the other dangers. Darkened Sky is down to 1 heart.
Yeah, it's not going to be able to do that, the damage boost here to open the chest early. He's going to have to kind of do it the old-fashioned way unless he grabs the 2 hearts and kind of does it perfectly.
We'll opt to just go ahead and do it a little bit slower, but more guaranteed safety, and just getting swarmed by the anti-fairies there.
And meanwhile, Knucks starting on the South Shore checks here.
And honestly, right here is a huge quality of life. Dashing with a sword versus not dashing with a sword.
Yeah, being able to knock things out of your way. This room that Darkened Sky is in is non-trivial if you don't have fire. Can be pretty tricky.
Well, and it's trying to find, but there's the Igor. There's the key. Now it does have to dodge. Okay, found the door. Darkened Sky is good.
Yeah, I always find myself overestimating the size of that room when I can't see it. It always feels like it's bigger than it actually is.
Very nice mini Moldorm there. But yeah, and we do get our first bottle. Taking a look at mini Moldorm cave. And at 7 hearts already, we are 13 minutes in.
Yeah, you know, finding that moon pearl too is even if we hadn't found the flippers, would be kind of nice here for Knucks, because you could set up that water walk and check the waterfall ferry too. With the flippers, it's kind of a non-issue, but this route is working out for Knucks. The Eastern Palace play didn't really do much for Darkened Sky here. It didn't hurt, but he didn't really gain anything out of it, which is a little bit unfortunate, but
right.
doesn't
but
put it behind.
Right, and it is crystal number 1. But there's the hammer, and that is Dark World access. So yeah, this had gotten a little interesting for Knucks. Just, you know, do you farm up for the Zora money? Looks like we'll opt to potentially isolate Zora. Getting a very nice fake flipper there, but has the flippers.
Yeah, at this point, you may as well. I think you check Hobo and don't continue on for the other flippers checks here, because you've got so much Dark World to check right now that I guess if you're going as far as to do flippers checks, you maybe just check Hobo here, because it is rather slow. It is kind of out of the way.
Right, and it does allow you to combo in with Catfish as well if you find the mirror coming up. There is
he does set up the water walk here, which takes care of that slowness a little bit.
Information on the sword for Knucks. I could see Knucks getting that if it's not the if it hasn't turned into the butter sword by then. Just tempered is such a huge quality of life improvement.
It is. Not quite as many rupees as Knucks would have wanted there. He's going to have to leave Zora behind for now.
And we'll opt to think about it, and yep, and there's that sword for Darkened Sky.
Yeah, it was worth checking that prize pool too first, because with you could get a couple 20s and that puts you right back in it.
Right. Now I think this is going to be Knucks is going to go ahead and clear out Eastern now. In a much better situation, still technically out of logic because we don't have a fire source. Still no fire source, but we'll have a much easier time just by virtue of having the sword.
Yeah, to that point though, Darkened Sky didn't really end up wasting too much time in Eastern. It was pretty efficient overall. So maybe making up a little bit of time, but Darkened Sky not too far behind. We'll see sort of where they sit relative to each other after Knucks finishes Eastern here.
Right, and that's not to say, like, because Darkened Sky does need to go up towards Ice Rod Cave to grab that. I think that's going to be the saving factor here. Maybe Sky into Dam and Aginas?
Yeah, the dangerous thing for Sky here is there are a couple ways where you decide, okay, maybe I leave Ice Rod, gamble that it's not something here. Because there are a couple different ways you can go. If you decide to do Dam and Agina rather than South Shore to the west, or to the east rather, you might decide that, okay, well, I'll pick up Ice Rod Cave later when I get the flute or something. Ordinarily though, I would expect to see him go over that way after Mini Moldorm. Right.
To answer a question in chat, Lumberjack is just 50 rupees today. So it's not the mirror this time. But as a note from their last match, which had been... Darkened Sky had a huge advantage, had been making the right plays, but ended up skipping left side swamp and it turned out that led to the fire rod. And the way that the crystals and pendants laid themselves out, Ped was available without the fire rod. Getting a nice bomb there for the western mini mold worms. Yeah, the sort of unfortunate thing with doing this route is just you will want to make another trip to Kakariko Village to turn in that bottle. The good news is you're probably going to be going over there for Thieves Town at some point, anyways.
Yeah, you'll have a chance. It really only hurts if the bottle is something crucial. Darkened 5ky, yeah, little bit in trouble here.
Yep, and that's why he's doing this route, because oh geez, should be fine. Because yeah, Crabsels.
I almost wonder if you dip after the hammer here. It's like I don't know if I try to try to push it. I've been taking damage. No, he's going for it. Confident he won't get hit again.
Yeah. Knucks does make up a bit of time though. Does save a little bit of time not having to clear out the big key chest room. But yeah, this will be Darkened 5ky will be able to do Zora here. That is going to be an advantage. And now it's where is the Igor? There it is.
Yeah, Knucks showing how out of hand this room can get if you're not absolutely sure where that Igor is before you start gunning for him.
Right, doing a pretty good job so far. Did take down the one. It doesn't look like it was the key one, but that one, ooh, down. Oh, yep. Gonna go ahead and retreat. Go ahead and grab that fairy and a bottle. Reset the room without resetting the enemies.
Yeah, I mean, really, really good on Darkened 5ky for doing that without a sword either. It's trickier than it looks when it's done well.
But Darkened 5ky still has to be careful. Any hit will be detrimental.
Yeah, the worst of it's over for him though. Zora's River is not particularly dangerous.
And that was Knucks is out of arrows.
Yeah, he'll have a chance to restock before the boss, thankfully.
Right, but that will be a little bit more time as well. And King Zora has... Well... Not exactly what you were hoping to find. And yeah, Knucksman will be fine on arrows. We'll have to pick up all of the arrow pots here, though.
Yeah, that extra time though in that dark room is going to put him a little bit behind here when all is said and done.
So, and Thieves Town Ice are our pendants, and it looked like Swamp and Skull Woods were the 5/6 crystals. But that is first number 1 for Knucks, and we're getting Hype Cave. Ether could be worth it. Whoop. Trying to get the chest turn there. You know, that Ether medallion isn't too bad.
Yeah, we're at 2 out of 3 now, it's a comfortable spot to be at, because now you can blind check a dungeon if you need to, and have a better than a coin flip that you're going to be able to open it, which is always nice to see.
Meanwhile, we are not seeing a save and quit. Looks like we're gonna go straight into Pod. And Pod is a crystal today.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with this play at all. I mean, if you can go into pod, we can clear it. We've got the bow and we've got the hammer. So as long as you've got your dark room knowledge, and there's the fire rod on the pyramid there. So
right.
Now the dark rooms are even less of an issue because we don't have to do dark turtles.
Yeah, that's gonna be that's a little unfortunate there for Knucks.
Yeah, not grabbing that first is. I mean, with any luck, you know, you do have the lamp in the Palace of Darkness. It seems to show up there quite a bit.
But both racers thinking the same thing. Like we've got a bow, we've got a hammer. Let's go ahead and just take down Palace of Darkness while we're right here.
Yeah, I do worry a little bit for Knucks there, seeing him struggle with that Eastern Dark Room, because those turtles in the dark are no joke.
They can definitely be a little interesting, and we do get a small key, so we weren't exactly locked out anyway because we have the bow. Alrighty, but we continue.
So yeah, we'll be going ahead clearing out these front 4 chests. We have seen 1 item so far. This is a standard key logic here, where at least 4 of these front 6 chests will contain small keys.
And darkened5ky trying to do some hovering and nearly had it.
Yeah, that is one of the toughest ones, because you have to change direction twice.
Right, and I thought had it. Oh, okay, there we go. There's the arrows. Yeah, this one can be a sort of tough one to do, just like back to back from Eastern. Just bombs on that side, and all right, let's see. Okay, so Knucks could have potentially just rushed to the boss right there.
Yeah, I don't really think you do that, especially if you don't have a fire source here. You may as well check the back first in case, hey, maybe the lamp is in that turtle room chest.
Right. Whenever it shows up in like Harmless Hellway or something, you know, that can be a sort of a feels bad kind of moment, especially when you're doing it in the dark.
Ooh, darkened5ky goes for that chest, which I think, yeah, he should have known better. Should have known that had to be a small key. A little bit of a logic misstep there.
A tooth. Oh, okay. We've got fire locked fire. There's the lamp.
Okay, yeah. So that's gonna tell Knucks that the fire rod is somewhere available.
Yep. Oh my goodness. Oh, you love to see it though. You love to see it.
Yeah, that's actually really good for Knucks here, because he's gonna, you know, avoid that detriment of not having the fire for the back end of the dungeon. Actually probably has an easier time in the turtle room than darkened5ky does now. Well, no, because darkened5ky is also going to get that lamp, so evens that out.
Right. Although it'll be a little bit easier to know where you're going in that maze. It's not necessarily a difficult maze there. It's just more you're fumbling around trying to find the chest. And this is going to be setting up for a death warp here. Oh no. Knucks is taking a death.
Oh, how unfortunate. Now he's gonna go all the way back to the start.
Yeah. Oh yeah, by the way, we also did find that flute.
Yeah, flute's nice to see, because especially since in the Dark World our next location is pretty much going to be Village of Outcasts area, so it's as good a time as any to grab the flute. You can go activate it, turn in that bottle for Sick Kid, and then head into Skull Woods probably first.
Yeah, Skull Woods definitely with the 5-6, and well, Darkened Sky will be incentivized to do that.
Yeah, for sure. Knucks,
Knucks
probably not. Knucks is probably not going to get that Fire Rod for a little bit.
I haven't been counting heart pieces. Okay, good. It was not the full heart restore.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the problems of going straight into pod without stopping at pyramid first, and why you see so many people do it is if you don't, then you don't have a great reason to go to pyramid again until later. The good thing in this case for Knucks though is you could, you know, go pyramid, catfish, mirror, Zora, because he hasn't done Zora yet. So that's a little more incentive than he would otherwise have, but the way it's looking, it could take him a while to get to the Fire Rod, which is a dangerous item to leave because it doesn't open a lot of checks, but it is required for a lot of things. So you can find it very late compared to when you need it.
Right. And this room right here, this is exactly why you want to have a lamp. And I think Knucks has actually gained a bit of time here in this dungeon, all things considered, because of not checking the center chest, not checking the big key chest. Oh, still one more. Does have to be a little cautious here. Does have to be a little bit cautious here. There we go. Never in doubt. Yep, the blue mail coming in clutch there for Knucks, and that is, you know, you gotta say, that is crystal number 2. We are half an hour in, and we're already 2 crystals down.
Yeah, though what we see Knucks do is kind of a question. Oh, we see him walking back through the maze.
Oh,
so I imagine he's gonna go to pyramid. There's not really anywhere else that you go walking back. I'm not sure it's faster than taking the warp again. It may be with boots.
With the boots, it's probably going to be close to a wash, especially after considering save quit and restart and all that. Go back to the Dark World. We do have a save and quit from Darkened Sky, and Knucks will have the opportunity to check Catfish as well. Knucks is also probably thinking, hey, if this is mirror, then I can do my Zora check here.
Yeah, if you don't pick mirror up here, I feel like you're just like, okay, we're just gonna hope that Zora's nothing, because that's a long trip to go back to.
Right. All right, and Knucks is back in logic. And yeah, this is interesting. And it's good for Knucks that he did walk back, because that's Fire Rod, now Swamp Palette, or now Skull Woods, sorry. It's a little bit more incentivized to go that way. And this is going to be a check that I don't see Darkened Sky making for a while. So if this is something, that's going to be, well, something.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it if we don't pull pretty much anything else for the entirety of, you know, Skullwoods, Thieves Town, North Dark World, because we can just jump across and check it there. Mm-hmm. But if we find anything else, there are going to be better things to do. I mean, we do have that logical mountain access now via pretty much every possible method. Just 3 bombs from Catfish today, though, so darkened5ky not going to be missing out on much if he doesn't get to it.
Yeah, if anything, just for the peace of mind of not having isolated that check. And this is going to be Hype Cave. This is going to be Hype Cave and going that direction. I don't believe darkened5ky.
darkened5ky just did Hype Cave. We didn't see the western checks.
Okay. That could be interesting as well, and that is where Knucks is going to go next. Knucks is going to go to the west. But we are getting our first look at Skull Woods here.
Yeah, I was about to say I kind of prefer darkened5ky's strat here of going straight to the Village of Outcasts area rather than doing those South Dark World checks. Obviously, with Knucks having not done Hype Cave, that makes a little more sense, but this kind of puts you where you need to be. The only thing you could maybe find is the mitts or the hook shot that are particularly useful, and you don't need those for up here anyway. So you may as well circle around south afterwards, especially if you've already done Catfish.
Right. If Knucks. The stumpy skip there.
Yeah, I feel like maybe you're like, okay, if I find Mirror, I can do K45 with it. But I don't know. I'm trying to be generous here.
Yeah.
I'm hoping you didn't just forget about that, so that would be pretty bad. Regardless of whether or not it has something, forgetting a check is always bad.
Meanwhile, this is a lot of digs here for
just a piece of heart.
All right. Does make it out of the room before the text box though. Okay. Okay, circling back for it. It doesn't feel like this is more efficient, but I guess if that ended up being, yeah, I don't know. I did remember it though, and it's just money. But meanwhile, darkened5ky taking down Mothula very quickly there with the hammer.
Well done, hammer fight.
Yeah, and that is crystal number 3. That was 5 minutes in between crystals there. I don't believe we've seen any items yet out of Skull Woods.
No, I don't believe so either. I wasn't paying the closest attention, but we've only seen 2 checks. Yeah, we saw that middle check, and then the boss decided to do the boss first. So I wonder if the middle check was an item. So if it was, it would make sense that you just, okay, let's do the boss first.
I think it was a small key, though.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, and chat confirming it was just a key. All right, and Knucks is going to go ahead and follow darkened5ky into the Dark World here. We'll see which direction Knucks goes first, whether into Skull Woods or into Thieves Town and the rest of Village of Outcasts first.
Yeah, I see Skull Woods as the superior route in terms of efficiency here. If you're really not confident with your Hammer Moth fight, then maybe you put it off. But since you have everything you need to clear it, and you don't have the mitts to go straight down, it's kind of a no-brainer here. You kind of just go up first.
Yeah, and Knucks is indeed going to go ahead and check out Skull Woods first. And we've got the big key, and we've got 2 items as our remaining items in here. There's the book. All right, and item number 2, were the big key coming up.
Yikes.
And you're pinned in by the Gibdos.
Well, you're just kind of waiting for the hand anyway.
Yeah.
Here.
But meanwhile, Knucks is going to actually get the items first. and will end up getting the items.
Yeah, it is nice that you're gonna get those first. I do think my preferred routing would be to start in the back, because you do want to hope that you get them in the back without wasting all this time first. It is gonna pay off for Knucks here, fortunately.
Right, and it is, and it is more of a, hey, if you go ahead and, I don't think, doesn't quite catch the express. Does need to walk out though. There we go. That looks pretty good for a setup. Ooh, that got spicy.
Almost messed that up.
Oh boy. All right, but that is, at least those are both items. So now it's just rush to the back. You can even skip the center chest. Considering you are going to be able to skip on the Cane of Samaria, that will save a little bit of time in here. But meanwhile, we are getting Village of Outcasts over here on Darkened Sky's side. Not really anything to write home about quite yet.
Yeah, interesting to note, like seeing that the brewery check before going into Thieves Town. I'm not sure that actually like still saves time, especially if you're gonna go doing the south checks, which I imagine that he's going to do after this. But it's definitely a holdover from pre-quick swap routing, where you'd use that as your menu to bombs, because it's the next item you need in Thieves Town, which is something I always liked about non-quick swap routing, was that particular routing choice.
All right, meanwhile, we've gotten one item so far and one tension item. Ooh, gotta watch out for the sniper there.
Yeah, Knucks taking a wall master there, unfortunately.
Although it's probably not the worst, because Knucks does not have a whole lot of magic.
Yeah, but you were sort of at the point where you didn't really need the magic anymore. He was in the last room. You're probably planning on doing mostly hammer anyway on this fight without half magic. Relying on the fire rod for this fight without half magic can be pretty spooky.
No, that's a different dungeon. Good night, everybody.
So was that just the front of Thieves Town for Darkened Sky there?
That was. I mean, and Thieves Town is a pendant as well. So.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense then.
And now I hope Knucks doesn't. Knucks does have a green potion. So that was the green goo, and this is looking tense.
Yeah, this is a rough fight.
There we go. And Darkened Sky is going to go ahead and pick up that piece of heart there.
Okay. Yeah, I was worried that Moth was gonna stick like glue to that right side.
Right, but that is crystal number 3. Doesn't matter how you do it, as long as you do it.
Yeah, so how many items did we get out of the front of Thieves Town there? Total?
I had lost count. I think either 1 or 2. There was at least bombs.
Yeah, I know it was at least 1. If it's 2, I feel like that's when I feel comfortable leaving it. Ooh, we do have the mirror on Desert Ledge.
Ooh. All right, and that is a book-blocked mirror. So that opens up Mountain.
Yeah, it also opens up the possibility of getting that second sword on Lake Hylia, or on the island in Lake Hylia.
especially since we haven't seen any other swords, that could be our second sword before 2 in Ganon's Tower. We got 100 rupees just at Bumper Ledge. And there's the ice rod. Now, I'll be curious if darkened5ky opts to complete Desert. It's a green pendant, so it might not be required, but it is worth an extra item. It's already paid out a little bit.
Ooh, you know, I actually probably would have gone out and grabbed the mirror first. I don't know if that would have saved time. I feel like it does though, because now you have to run all the way back, whereas before you could just grab the mirror, come back in, do these 2 chests over here, and then just mirror back. Saves you the return trip.
All right, but that is item number 2. So, yeah, now it'll just be, do you go for the green pendant and an extra item and potentially pedestal? Are you thinking that? Or... And we will be able to see if it was 1 item or 2 over on Knucks' side.
Yeah, I feel like going for green pendant here is a bit of an investment, because you've already done Pod and Eastern, so you don't have any other reason to go back there other than to turn in the green pendant. So yeah, if you go in, you're sort of committing yourself to potentially sinking a lot of time for no real gain.
Although with the flute, it's not as bad of a time investment as it could be.
It's not terrible, but you are kind of locking yourself into checking that.
Okay.
It does set you up for a potential ped seed too.
Right.
And unfortunately, we weren't in the opportunity to check the ped with the book that we got because we didn't have the mirror yet, because it was behind the book.
Right.
Which I'm sure these runners would have loved to do, but...
and we are seeing, like, darkened5ky is doing that. Knucks, there were 2 items in the front. Neither of the items good, between bombs and arrows. So.
Yeah, I feel like 2 items is kind of like the tipping point where you can kind of go either way.
darkened5ky, a little bit of a victim of quick swap there. Both plays are defensive. I mean, both plays are absolutely defensible.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. We are seeing both of our runners deciding to complete different pendant dungeons here. I imagine we see Knucks probably decide not to do the back of Desert. Or, you know, you could say, I've already done 1 pendant, I may as well do another one as long as it's the back of Desert, which is pretty quick.
Right. Now, hopefully Knucks does not skip out on desert area for too long just because of that mirror location. That does open up a good amount. And yeah, so our overall shopping list, we still don't know. Yeah, we still don't quite know. Okay, and just bombs. And the small key, we are logically hammer locked, but we are good there. We need the mitts, we need the hook shot, we need the Canis Amaria, and maybe a medallion.
Yeah, and it looks like we're seeing darkened5ky go for that other sword here, which makes sense because that means that if your next choice is going up the mountain, that means that you can check Ether Tablet while you're up there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely absolutely a good call. And just having a little bit of weaponry, like up and
green 20.
There was the boots.
I kind of miss when it used to actually just be the boots. You just grab the boots again.
Right. I mean, you got your left shoe, you got your right shoe. All right, but let's see if the green pendant turn-in is anything. And this could actually... and it's the mirror shield.
Decides to leave 2 bombs.
All right, and that's going to be good for Knucks because that will be the mirror information. Was going to think about going to Agina. Does end up going towards Agina anyway, but... that will be handy. Now, we will see if Knucks ends up finishing up Desert. I see more of a case for Desert just at this point. Because it's not too slow. And you've already invested into doing 1 pendant dungeon, so it's sort of a sunken cost.
Yeah, you're definitely going to check it, because you know you're going to do the... you're grabbing that mirror. So you may as well clear out the items in there. Whether or not you do the back with no item back there is kind of a judgment call. I feel like it's quick enough that you can justify still doing it, especially if you've already got 1 pendant, because it kind of gives you some insurance against a ped seed. But then the flip side of that obviously is like, okay, well, it's even more time spent completing a pendant dungeon, which could put you even more behind in a non-ped seed.
Right, and considering Hookshot may or may not be on ped, and Kinesamaria may or may not be on ped. There are some possibilities. They are not great possibilities. The good news about this, though, is Knucks will get that ice rod. Or did get that ice rod. All right, but this is our first look on the mountain and at Hera.
Yeah, and here we see Knucks taking the alternate routing that I was talking about earlier, where you go out and grab the mirror and come back in to check the right side. He is going to do the back first, which again makes sense. He doesn't know that the other item's on the right side. Yeah, so you kind of hope it's back here.
It's still a pretty good hedge your bets. It's not too quick. It's not too bad to go back. So. Very nice bomb jump for a very nice compass there.
Love to see that compass.
Especially since we're still... We have an item in the basement, I think. Yeah, we've got an item in the basement. But that's fine, because we have the stuff needed for that, so... Put those googly eyes on Moldorm. Moldorm down for a nice 20 rupee prize. And crystal number 4. Sorry. Crystal number 4, dungeon number 5.
Yeah, in terms of dungeons completed, we're actually kind of on par with each other here, as Knucks is about to finish his 5th dungeon. However, 1 less crystal overall. Now, this would be kind of a gnarly ped seed if it does end up being a ped seed, especially with if you get late Samaria, because Ice Palace is not the friendliest pendant dungeon to complete.
No, no, it's not. On the other hand, seeing the Ice Palace bomb jump does bring a smile to this commentator's heart. Meanwhile, taking a coffee break over at darkened5ky's side, because as long as you're standing on that tile as it's raised, you have perpetual iframes, so you don't actually take any damage. And just for a little bit of cash there. So Hera empty. Check out the rest of the mountain.
Okay, Knucks going directly to Eastern to turn that green pendant in. Ooh, what is Knucks up to here? Maybe thinking of combining this with Catfish?
I think Knucks already did.
Oh yeah,
Catfish.
no, Knucks is the one who already did Catfish.
Now, this is curious. Just trying to think of a quicker way to get to here, but I think it was a little bit more time than just investing. And there is that. Oh. Both of our racers,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I assume he's going to the island then. I'm not sure this is any faster. Maybe it is.
One change I think to Knucks' gameplay in this seed has been a lot fewer save and quits. Overall, it's definitely been trying to loop in it, but there is the Titan's Mitts over in the Paradox 5.
Yeah, it's definitely a nice find. Not one you don't expect at this point. You could take this into the Dark World to check Turtle Rock Medallion, Super Bunny, and the first chest of Hookshot.
Right. Oh, also, I see we got a mushroom as well.
Okay, I like seeing this from Knucks. Unfortunately, it doesn't really help him, but I like, taking this opportunity to check Zora, because if you don't do it now, then you never ever do it.
Right. Oh, and darkened5ky also found Canis Samaria. Oh, then okay, so Paradox Cave is the answer.
Yeah, you could just do Turtle Rock here.
Yep, and that is what darkened5ky is going to do. We'll see if darkened5ky ends up dipping into at least the first of Hookshot Cave.
Yeah, I'd check him first.
Yeah.
If you get the hookshot, you can save a little bit of time in TR.
Hookshot or a third sword.
Yeah, either of those would help quite a bit.
Oh, it's Akane, and we're gonna see hovering here.
Yeah, he's gonna give it a shot. I was thinking he might, because we saw it earlier. Maybe we see one more try. No. Okay, you give it one if you think you got it, but yeah. Definitely don't want to invest too much.
Especially when you know it's not going to be in logic. All right, but we are going to go ahead and go into Turtle Rock.
Yeah, so once we get that hook shot, we are potentially in go mode unless Misery Mire is Quake Medallion.
Yep. It's not necessarily a comfortable, we got our bow less than a minute in off of Uncle. We have not found silvers yet, and we're still on Master Sword, so it's not a comfortable go mode, but certainly one that our racers have more than enough experience with. Does go the correct way. Does remember you got to go down if you don't have the hook shot. And yep, just use the items that you've got.
Yeah, so we're gonna see what shows up in Turtle Rock here. I feel like at this point, if you're rooting for Knucks, you gotta kind of hope that this turns into a little bit of a Quake hunt. Because right now, Knucks is just kind of trailing the time used in the back of Thieves Town, which is not super comfortable when you're this close to go mode.
Right. Now, and yeah, kind of the best case scenario for Knucks is going to be Quake Medallion is on pedestal, which is a possibility. And if Quake is required. And yeah, Sky also doesn't feel great, like has definitely been zooming through a bit more, been a little bit less thorough than previous matches. But darkened5ky is sort of in a lead right here. Does have a bit of an advantage here.
Yeah, it definitely has a progression advantage, because the only thing really that's sort of still on the table is the back of Thieves Town, which is something that you're kind of not planning on going back to until you run out of options anyway. So until that point, you're kind of, it's still kind of a comfortable, you know, spot to be in.
All right, there was an item in Lava Chest. I mean, it wasn't anything, but it feels better than having to go back in for a potential for an item in Lava Chest.
Yeah, you don't skip that unless you're actually in go mode and already have the big key.
All right, meanwhile, Moldorm goes down on Knucks' side. We'll have to go back in. We'll think about going back in for the second item. We know that the second item isn't required, but I don't think Knucks skips it at this point. Especially since
we'll see.
Still is looking for the mitts as well.
Yeah. True, yeah. Yeah, it would make sense to skip it if you'd done the Paradox Cave first, but...
Meanwhile, we're getting Mimic Cave over here on darkened5ky side. And there's not a way to...
There it is! There it is! If you hurry, you can still get it!
My goodness! I got it!
Oh, that's good. That's nice. I like to see that.
What a roller coaster of emotions.
That was the most inconsequential roller coaster of emotions I've ever seen. Like that's the most hype boomerang I've ever seen.
And you know, it's wouldn't turn my nose up at it, because now you get to save yourself a pit stop. I guess all you do is you save yourself a pit stop here, but
Yeah, does darkened5ky still have that green potion?
I believe so.
Because that's definitely a lot more comfortable to have in this situation. You screw anything up on these Trinex shots here, you could find yourself running out of magic.
Yeah, and darkened5ky, you know, say what you will about the mirror shield, this room is what it's made for.
This room is the only reason to have the mirror shield, really. Yeah, and the laser skips aren't really too bad to do, especially if you have boots. I'm not at the point where I really complain about getting a shield because I'm not a good enough player that the frames that the lag frames that it causes matter to me, you know. But yeah, we do have there is definitely an anti-shield sentiment in the community, I feel.
Okay, and that's where that Candace Tamaria had been. Definitely here you definitely still get a bit of menuing. Very nicely done, though.
Yeah, it looks simple, but if you're just a little bit unconfident in that hammer hitbox, then it's very easy to start missing hits, and then things can get out of hand.
And that
it really pays off to be familiar with that.
Yeah, I mean, you saw like approaching from the side. That is, and just for some bombs, but more importantly, the crystal. But there really wasn't a whole lot here in Turtle Rock either.
Yeah, we've got a fair number of overworld checks here. We have the Cane of Samaria, we have the Mitts, so we could potentially see ice. There's 3 checks in there. There's Smith Chain. We now have access to we did with the mirror, but now we have quicker access to King's Tomb.
And Meyer could be either Bombos or Ether.
Yeah, we don't need the hookshot for that. So I imagine that's where we see darkened5ky go next after finishing off the mountain here. You do want to do Spike Cave here just because, you don't want to have to come back. And if you do this, then you're done before you find the hookshot, which you're hoping you don't need until you're in go mode anyway.
Right.
Could be a hover seed. No, it couldn't be because we have swamp.
Yeah. And just 300
I got myself
here.
excited there. I was like, oh, darkened5ky is showing the hover. Maybe this is the time for it, but no.
Well, and hookshot could still be in swamp.
True. You just can't hover swamp, which is unfortunate.
All right, but this will give us our last piece of the puzzle. One way or another, are we just hooked for go? I did not see what that was. Oh, and it looks like, though, it was Ether. So we can do that. And there's another bottle while we're at it.
Yeah, I do like checking checkerboard here before you go in, because if you find the hookshot in here, then you can go mode Meyer, which is a lot nicer than not go moding Meyer.
Right. I mean, an arrow almost looked like a hookshot.
It's similar, but it doesn't do nearly the same thing, which is, I think the functionality is mostly what our runners are worried about, rather than appearances.
That's true. But yeah, we are just a hookshot from go mode.
Ganon doesn't take damage from regular arrows if you change the palette,
Yeah,
even if they look silver. What's inside that counts.
All right, but we got 2 items here. And then darkened5ky's got a couple decisions. Because we got the mitts and the mirror since kind of the last time really being off of the mountain. So there's plenty. There are a lot of overworld checks that have just opened up.
Yeah, I feel like you... Yeah,
the hook shot.
you pull the hook shot there. You're hoping you find it in the dungeon, right? Like that's what you hope for. So that's why you go to the dungeon first. Just for the sake of argument, what I'm thinking of in terms of routing is, okay, well, I've got the mirror checks, which is like you've got Bombos, K45, Graveyard Ledge. So I think I'd kind of do Graveyard Ledge first, maybe take Smith up into, you know, those checks up there. But you want to end with Smith Chain so you can do Purple Chest, Bombos before dipping into Swamp if you have to, because that's kind of the most efficient way I think to route everything all together. It's obviously kind of a moot point now that we've pulled the hook shot here, so.
Right. And that is go mode. Now Knucks is gonna opt to skip Lava Chest. It is an item. It's not the item we're looking for. That's the good news. But yeah, Knucks. Oh, hey, there's silvers. There's 2 items.
That's a nice thing to see if you get a late big key in Mire when you're in go mode. Picking up the silvers for your trouble. Master Sword Silver's much better than Master Sword Silverless.
Mm-hmm. Still not great. But we won't find a tempered in here. Only 2 items. Oh, and there's the big key. Hookshot was on the bridge here in Mire. And yeah, at least having silvers for Vitreous, that's a good point. It's worth it just for the Vitreous fight. Yep, the same clutch boomerang. Yeah, unfortunately, Spook couldn't really do Spooky after using the lamp, I believe. Oh, there we go. Not sure why that was getting hook shot blocked there. Yeah, I think this has been the most clutch the red boomerang has been in the history of all Link to the Past Randomizer.
Yeah, I've seen it used a couple times here and there for a splash delete, which can be a little bit hype. It's not as tangible as grabbing the magic.
All right, and Vitreous, don't blink, you'll miss it.
Yeah, it is always nice to hit absolute go mode. You know, 2 crystals from completion. You know you have to, and the last dungeon being Swamp too is very, very go modable. Right. You can cut out all of left side, not even a question. Sometimes you do anyway, but
Oh, and this seed, Sky will be able to just completely skip it. Ooh. So this is dangerous over on Knucks' side.
No, he gets a heart here. He's gonna try to dupe it. Didn't get it. Yeah, it is spooky because he didn't grab that safety exit.
Right. So we'll see how this goes.
In general, I feel like we've seen Knucks performing a little bit worse on the bosses than darkened5ky. So, gotta be watching this. Make sure, yeah. That's what happens when you're doing that fight. Is you know that's coming. You know that the rockhead's coming at you. But you get so focused on trying to save the cycles on the fire and ice heads that you forget that you can't just react to it and move out of the way. Your movement's all tied up. The consolation, though, is that I don't think that is going to end up being the difference maker in this seed here. The items had already pretty much doomed the race for Knucks, barring some miraculous misplays from darkened5ky between here and the end.
Yeah.
It doesn't move him any closer to winning, but it also doesn't move him that much closer to losing than he already was. So he still needs pretty much just as big of a miracle to make up this time. Just having done all of Thieves Town, and I think some questionable overworld movement that I think was a little slow.
Yeah, overall, like, it was a lot that was defensible, but
Yeah, he had that extra try in Eastern Palace Dark Room. He ate the Wallmaster in Skull Woods. So there were a lot of little mistakes outside of worse routing that kind of stole this away.
We could be in even more trouble here. I think there's only one more fire rod shot.
He hits it.
Hits it.
Misspaces that hammer.
And there was there's that sword and swamp. And yeah, this time, unfortunately, Knucks without any magic will have to find some magic somewhere.
Yeah, there is one small pot in that room that he just passed, but I don't know if that's enough for his purposes.
Well, and probably gonna check out what this item is also.
Yeah, I may as well. I suppose since you're going back anyway.
Yeah, and there is a full magic pot like on the other side of this. Well, and oh, good, a shovel. But that is crystal number 7, so I think it's time to pick our favorite number between 1 and 22.
Yeah, you know, imagine a mode where everything is normal except it's not key sanity except for GT big key. All the keys are where they're supposed to be except for GT big, which can be anywhere. In that case, we might see that shovel spot dug up. I don't think that would be a very popular mode though.
No, I think I remember an April Fool's one where every single check was vanilla, except the GT big key was in like Mimic Cave or something. And Knucks is actually going to opt to lose the portal. We'll just go ahead and this sort of makes sense as well. If you're already short on magic, you'll get the magic refill after beating Vitreous.
Yeah, and like, you know, theoretically you want to save the portal there, but you take 2 deaths on Trinex, and it's like, okay, how much time are you really hoping to save? At this point, you're kind of hoping that your opponent is having just as bad or worse of a game than you are anyway, so you may as well do what's going to be most consistent for you.
Oh, right. There was also the mushroom turn-in.
Yeah, mushroom turn-in, maybe hoping that he can hit go mode out of those overworld checks there. I mean, if you're in a rough spot, if you're Knucks here, regardless of what you do.
Right. That is the crystal spinning around. Just a couple more seconds before guesses close. All right, and let's see where that GT big key will be. Sky at least opting to go to Compass Room. I'm not sure if Sky usually will consider a full right in here.
I mean, this is the fastest way to get to Ice Armos, is if you go full right here. But it is far less checks than going left side.
4, 5, and 6. We'll go ahead and pick up the key.
And yeah, we go left side here.
Taking the scenic tour to the Ice Armos. Number 7, just some bombs. And there's that hook shot for Knucks.
Yeah, so Knucks hitting go mode at 118 doesn't feel too bad, on its face, but the way that the seed is played out, you have a lot left that you still have to do, which you gotta basically play all of Turtle Rock again. You still have to find the Mire Big Key. You have to do Swamp, so not as good as it could feel.
Yeah. Meanwhile, darkened5ky did pick up that half magic and number 12. And yeah, that half magic couldn't have come at a more opportune time. But yeah, scrolling back to see who guessed 12, and Jason Nellis getting it right on the nose and being the first one and only one. GG. You get a lifetime supply of Link to the Past Randomizer seeds, redeemable at ALttPR.com. Fire Snake really just trying to
Fire Snake wants Knucks to play by the rules here. Do it properly. No cheating.
All right, and that is going to be for the big key, so that will at least be a nice quick mire. Meanwhile, darkened5ky just zooming through the gauntlet here, almost to the second land molus, or I guess the 4th, 5th, and 6th land molus.
Yeah, opts to go for a fire rod there. I kind of like that too, in a way better than the one shot from the bow, because there's less margin of error. Always feels bad when you hit 2 of them and then you just miss the last one.
Right, and with half magic, it's a lot less of a risk of running out of magic here.
Yeah.
All right, meanwhile, we do get Vitreous over here on Knucks' side. And again, don't blink, you'll miss it.
Yeah, darkened5ky not interested in any of these chests. Nothing else that you could possibly want. The only thing that's really going to change anything at this point is the red mail, which increases the number of mistakes you're allowed to do on the Ganon fight, which when you're doing tempered silvers is ideally not enough for it to make a difference which armor you're wearing.
All right, and Aga 2. Let's see how agonometry works. Very nice triple.
Yeah, that was triple.
Just a single there, but hey, it's progress. And that is Aghanim down, and that is... Turns out Ganon was behind it all along.
Also, I think this is the only time that Ganon has ever really taken the form of a bat, if I'm not mistaken. It's not been a power that he's really... He's never associated with bats so strongly as he did in this game.
Well, and going from bats to pigs to...
I mean, he's
boars.
always been a pig, right? But the bats was definitely a Link to the Past exclusive.
But what about land slugs? Would we still love Ganon if he was a worm?
I would.
Also, ooh, actually, little dicey. There we go. Just throwing the cape.
Yeah, I mean, you take the hit there if you guarantee that you make it through that that second cycle there, because you're not too worried about this last phase.
Yeah, at this point, a Ganon hug would take him down, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah, Darkened5ky has shown very good spacing throughout this seed, so you really only take a Ganon hug in this last phase if you're a little dicey on your spacing.
All right, that's 2 arrows. Doesn't get the torch glitch, but don't really need it for this one. That is 3, that is 4, and get your GGs in chat as Darkened5ky is about to finish and win 3rd place overall in the ALttPR Challenge Cup. And
that is an official time of 1:24:53.
Yep. And we are joined here with Darkened5ky and Knucks. GG to the 2 of you.
Hey, GG's.
Thank you. GG's.
All right. So after standard boots, definitely it was a very close one. But Darkened5ky, kind of walk us through your very opening, because you made a beeline for Eastern as quickly as you could.
Yeah, with boots and starting bow, I will sometimes choose to go to Eastern. I've been doing that a bit more lately, I've found. Just kind of figured something might be there, and I could worry about the lamp later, but didn't really pay out. But I don't really know how much of a difference it made. I don't remember if there was anything in Eastern or in Saha's closet, to be honest.
Neither of them were anything home to write about. Nothing to...
Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It's just because I got the bow and figured there might be something there. An old meta strat that kind of fell out of fashion.
And Knucks, GG to you as well. Kind of, because you would actually start off doing more overworld checks, and they really paid out. Kind of, like I think where there was the most divergence was Thieves Town. There, what was prompting you to go to the back of Thieves Town and finish that up?
Just trying not to abandon little things. I've had a couple of light races that just didn't pan out because I didn't check a pendant, so just figured go for the gamble, especially after I found that ice rod in desert.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, that the ice rod was there. Well, actually, and for both of you, because there was a difference in when y'all got the fire rod. So what was y'all's thoughts about finding that fire-locked fire?
Well, when I found the lamp in the basement of Pod, I knew that the fire rod was going to be somewhere nearby, and it just happened to be on Pyramid right afterwards, so it made sense.
Oh, that's where it was. I was trying to remember. A lot of the seed is kind of fuzzy for me.
That's fair. well, and just with it, and with everything kind of zooming by in clusters, like Paradox Cave having what, the Canis Tamaria, Titan's Mitts. It was definitely a lot kind of going on in this seed in clusters.
Yeah, you always gotta hope for Mitts go mode. It's always a shame when it's not the Mitts and you find the Mitts and it's not the other item instead.
Right, and then, but hey, how about that Mire?
Yeah, I'll tend to lean towards crystals before Overworld, so the seed kind of just fell into my lap after Desert Palace. Everything just kind of lined up.
Yep, and I just picked the wrong crystal.
Although definitely defensible to go for Turtle Rock at the time.
Yeah, I believe you both went for Turtle Rock at, sort of the same point at your knowledge of the seed. Because darkened5ky, you did that before hitting Mire and Swamp as well. But Knucks had a little bit of issues with Trinex, which it does happen from time to time.
Yeah, Master Sword Trinex can be really rough.
Ice had just wanted to party.
It really did. It just wanted to. It watched dodgeball. That's all it was. If you can dodge a fire rod shot, you can dodge a ball.
I think the reason everything kind of went the way it did was the beginning of the seed was super rough for me. All these really small execution errors were really getting into my head, and that's kind of why a lot of the early game just went out of my head as I went full tilt. But then I kind of brought it back after finding that go mode and was able to clear my head out.
And it was actually kind of interesting because I was actually tracking for y'all's most previous race, the Open Hard, and it did seem like you both had different strategies coming into this race, whether just because, hey, it's a fresh day, or just adjustments from that one. I think Sky, you were a little bit less thorough, and Knucks, I think you were a little bit more thorough.
Interesting.
Yeah, I do tend to be more thorough most of the time. If I'm skipping a lot of things, it means I'm really trying to risk it.
Yeah, and I kind of played to the opposite of that, or at least I felt like, because I figured Knucks is probably going to finish Pendant Thieves Town. If it's something's here, I'm hosed, but I really didn't want to go back there for 2 items when there was 3 items in Desert.
I mean, you did miss out on the 10 bomb drop. And I think I don't know, Knucks, I think a piece of heart or something. It wasn't anything really.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, can really swing the seed though, because that's what happened on Saturday when I bailed out on Swamp after leaving 1 item, and it happened to be my go mode Fire Rod. So it can really gambles like that just go either way.
But congratulations, Sky, on winning the bronze match, and congrats as well, Knucks. I mean, you both made it to the ending round of this Challenge Cup. What do y'all think about the tournament?
It was a wild ride.
It was definitely an experience, and it's hard to believe that it started 3 months ago, but glad to take a little rest from non-glitched modes, go back to exclusive hybrid major glitches for a while, see where the wind takes me from there.
Good deal. And yeah, if you're not already, please give our runners a follow. Give Knucksman and darkened5ky a follow, as well as my co-com Esmar, and I don't know, maybe me, and Tom I'll Talk as well. Also, big thanks to Psychon AWT, to Cubs Roll 21, and the Zelda Speedruns community for putting on this race.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely always a pleasure. Nope, sorry.
Yeah, no, you go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, it's always a pleasure having ALttPR and ZSR, especially the Challenge Cup with some high-end action that we got here. So, definitely no complaints having it. It's always a pleasure having you. Anyone have any final comments to make before we get out of here?
No, just gonna shout out the finals that are, I am assuming, soon to occur, right?
Soon? Question mark. I
Eventually
don't have an
to
exact
occur.
date on me at the moment, I'm afraid.
I think there was a game 1 already, so we're just waiting on game 2 and or 3.
You heard it here, folks. It's happening at some point.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll at some stage. Keep an eye out. I'm sure they'll be posting the usual Discords and the usual spots for information on that. But yeah, on that bombshell, I think we're just going to go ahead and leave it there. GG's once again to both darkened5ky and to Knucks for the excellent match up there. Third and fourth in the Challenge Cup. Definitely nothing to be snipped at. Chat. If you're not following them already, be sure to give them a follow. All the links are in the chat there. Thank you to both Esmar and your Uncle Finch for the excellent commentary, and to Tom for tracking, and I suppose the Cubs for the restream as well. Make sure you give them all a follow. There's always a lot of effort to go into streams like this. We're just going to sign off for the moment, but let me tell you about something that's going to happen in about an hour and 15 minutes. If you are interested in more Link to the Past rando action, we have a Cross Keys tournament Swiss Round 2 matchup between Pool Float and TWW2 happening at about 9 o'clock Eastern right here on CSR. Tomorrow at about 7:30 Eastern, if you fancy some vanilla action, we have a Link to the Past No Major Glitches League Season 4 round Terror Hair Division matchup between Doontap and Relkin. We have more Cross Keys action at 10:30 Eastern between Jeho, I think that's how you pronounce that, and Gamachu. And then again, we also have more No Major Glitches League action in the Desert Palace division between Yurok and Flip Heel. All information about that and all other matches we got coming up on CSR, they're all on the schedule, so be sure to go ahead and check them all out. For the moment, we are just going to sign off, but be sure to come back here at about 9 o'clock Eastern for that Cross Keys tournament matchup. Once again, thank you so much for watching. My name is Psychonaut, and have a fantastic rest of your time. So, bye-bye now.